Well, good morning, afternoon, whatever y'all think it is, y'all you San Run Travel travelers. Here we are into October of 2021. This is pretty amazing that we've come through the summer of this kind of a second pandemic year, and we're still smiling and trying to think about traveling.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a lot. The one thing you got to look at. We're in the fall now, which tells us winter is coming. And the good thing about us is we know that sometime this winter we're going to go chase us some sunshine.
Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? Well, listen, folks, today's show, we're going to do a couple of things. One thing a little different that we thought we'd start trying. We get questions all the time on certain items. And we thought we'd spend some of the time on the show this month answering some of those questions. Then we'll tell you where we just were, and I think you're going to wish you were with us. Then we'll talk about current specials on cruises, and we are going to do a short little tour of the Carnival Mardi Gras while we're going through this thing today. And so it should be kind of an interesting show. We're not going to spend a lot of time on certain things, but you might get some information out of this. First things first. We are not seeing much different on general tours. We are seeing a little bit more mask requirement, but we still aren't. We're not doing anything that wouldn't be out of the ordinary for most folks here in Ohio with masks and mandates and vaccine records. But we are seeing a little bit more mask requirements from some of the locations. That's to be expected right now. The Delta variant has caused some issues. We don't believe that there'll be another lockdown. We believe cruising and tours will continue to move forward, albeit maybe slowly. But we are doing that.
It is coming along slowly. They are doing some things, but the requirements for getting your shots are starting to become more and more in place. Where I noticed some of the airlines are now making sure all their employees have had their vaccination shots. They're also kind of getting towards that point where they're requiring passengers to show proof that they've had the vaccination or at least a negative test recently. They are also starting to make sure that you have a mask on if you're on a plane or if you're in the airport. So there are some things that are in place that are there that we're just going to have to learn to live with for now until something else changes.
Yeah. I know. I was just thinking as you were talking there, Reg, all four of the major cruise lines that we deal with are requiring passports, or not passports, requiring vaccinations to board. Even Carnival is kind of tightening up the rules right now. So that's kind of where we're at, folks. If you don't want to get your vaccination, you're not going to be doing any cruising or major travel, I don't think. So hopefully you're all with us. I get my booster this month. I was over at the VA, got my flu shot today. So another 3 weeks, I'll get my booster, and I'm sure Reg is going to get his. I know Pat's going to get his.
See, I've got the Moderna, and the Moderna right now, they don't have the booster yet. They haven't approved it for the booster yet. They're only for the Pfizer's currently.
Okay.
And now I had the Moderna, but Sharon had the Pfizer. Now I think she's eligible to get the booster, but because it was the Pfizer shot she took. But until they finish with the approval, I'm still waiting to see what happens with this Moderna.
Yep. Well, that's kind of where we're at with a lot of things right now, folks. Wait and see. Just stay kind of fluid and flexible as to what we can do. But one thing we're being asked to do a lot is our first question. We get this question, especially now that travel is starting to come back. What is this thing called pre-TSA? Basically, what's happened is when 9/11 occurred and all the pre-screening at the airport started occurring for years, there was a thing called pre-TSA that every now and then one of us would get approved, and we wouldn't have to do any of our take off our shoes, take off our belts, throw things along. We kind of got a relaxed approval, and that was based on some research done after you checked in after you bought your airline ticket. Well, right now, I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, you can't get pre-TSA unless you buy it. And that is something that we had a discussion on. Some people have asked us about, quite a few have. And I have chosen not to get it. A couple of reasons. I'm 76. Most of what pre-TSA does is pre-screen me and tell me I'm a good guy and I don't have to take my shoes off. And there's a few other things that I get away with, and I go through kind of a quicker review of the screening. But for $85, I don't need to do that. And my shoes stay on now anyway, because I'm 76. So we've looked at it. I don't think it's a bad thing, because what it is you really supply some documentation. You do an interview, and you get pre-approved to skip through the TSA line and do a shortened version of the screening. Quite frankly, at $85, I don't like the idea of someone being able to buy a pre-screen and then skip through the line and leave his shoes off and maybe bring something onto the plane. And I'm perfectly happy to spend the extra 5-10 minutes and go through the screening myself. But if you do want to do that, it will cost you $85. Reg, what have you found out? Anything else?
I was looking, one of the other questions we got was about packing.
Ooh, yeah.
And packing is really kind of one of those subjective kind of things, because we've had people that they go on a cruise and it looked like they cleaned their closet out and brought it with them. There's others that pack very minimally because they figure that on that cruise they're going to be in their swimsuit and flip-flops most of the time, and so they really don't need a whole lot of clothes. So it's one of those things that's really kind of subjective to the individual and dependent upon what you intend on doing while you're on the trip. If you are on a cruise, let's say we're going to pack for a cruise. Now, on the cruise, they usually have one night they call it elegant night, 1 or 2 nights. They have an elegant night. In that time, you may want to have something that you can kind of dress up with. Some people like to go all out in their suit and tie and tuxes and long dresses, and then there's others that they just do a business casual, but it's kind of an upscale dress away from the shorts and t-shirts and tennis shoes. There is the thought of how often will I need to change clothes? Well, when you're in the course of the day, you probably are going to change clothes once, if that. Depending on what you go do. If you leave and go do an excursion, you're probably going to come back in, want to shower and change clothes. If you're just kicking around the ship, probably not going to change clothes at all. You're just going to, whatever you get up and put on that day is probably what you'll take off when you go to sleep that night. So a lot of it is dependent upon what you're doing, what you plan to do, and what kind of memories you want to create while you're on that excursion or on that trip.
One of the great advice, one of the things that Pat and I try to do is we do try to do what you just said. We take I take an upscale business casual for elegant night. I think if I ever really want to go whole hog, I'll rent a tux on board. It's just more comfortable for me. I'm not a big coat and tie guy. Uh, but the ladies frequently want to wear a nice dress. But other than elegant nights, one of the best tips I can get, not only for cruising, but any other kind of overnight trip that you might be going on, is to pack clothes that are almost interchangeable, where you match up almost think a little bit about a color scheme or two that you might want to take with you, and particularly take shirts and tops that can go either way, daytime, nighttime, switch colors, go with different things, and then try to pack as little as you can for the trip. I know Reg said it's a personal interest, but it also boils down to money, dollars and cents. With
Right.
the airlines charging for luggage as much as they do anymore, it's wise if you are going to be somewhat budget conscious to try to get everything in one suitcase. And I know I may be the exception. Pat and I are exceptions probably, because we can take one suitcase for 4 or 5 days for the two of us. But we've never we've never really had any problems. So
Right. And like I said, it really depends on the individual. Some people, they don't really use a suitcase or even a carry-on. They use their personal carry-on that they're bringing onto the airplane, and in a backpack, you can pack most of the things that you want and need in the
yeah,
course of a
yeah,
trip.
you really can. Well, that's great things for people to think about. Don't overpack, folks. Now, the last thing we get is, what about passports? And since we do a lot of cruising, we get an awful lot of questions. Do I need my passport? And quite frankly, this just came up for me personally with my daughter about a month ago. Uh, for most U.S. cruise travel, you are permitted by the U.S. State Department to travel with an original birth certificate and matching driver's license. We have discovered, however, that Virgin Voyages, one of the newer cruise lines we're using, is mandating passports for consistency of all of their travelers.
Mhm.
Right now, passports generally take 12 to 16 weeks to arrive. And if you need them in shorter periods of time, there are some companies out there who will do some really serious expediting, but it can cost anywhere from $200 to $500 per person for that expediting to take place. So, if my suggestion is, if you're traveling outside the country, think early and go ahead and make sure your passport is ready to go. It's the safest way. One of the reasonings that Virgin Voyages is recommending it is, with COVID, they are a little bit concerned that folks might get COVID while they're on board or while they're in another port. They might have to stay in that port, and quite frankly, you definitely need a passport to get home if you aren't on the ship and need to get home. So
Now,
they're
the
erring on the side of super cautious.
other thing is, they have the new driver's license that also is being able to act as a passport, but that's only for national travel.
Correct.
You can use that to get on a plane to go anywhere nationally. But if you're going internationally, you really are going to need to get the passport, and that driver's license is no good for international travel.
No. So that's while we've been very lenient with our cruisers and our travelers in the past, we will follow the U.S. state guidelines, but we will definitely be encouraging passports more in the future than maybe we have in the past. So plan on it, guys. Again, it's a planning issue. If you know you're going to be out of the country or take a cruise, and you know it 6 months, a year ahead of time, go ahead and apply for your passport if you don't have one, because it can be difficult and quite costly if you forget and need to get one in a hurry. Okay, that's it for our questions for this month. We're going to be making that a regular feature of this monthly show. So, quite frankly, if you've got a question about travel, either a general question or something you'd like us to think about doing, post it on our Facebook page when you're responding to this video this month, and we'll take it up. We'll see what we can do about answering it. Did want to talk to you a little bit about our Poconos trip. We had a ball. It wasn't. It
so much fun.
May have been that most of us hadn't been out on a major trip for almost a year and a half, but we had a group of folks that really enjoyed trying out the wines. We went to 7 wineries. Wapiti Ridge in Pennsylvania, well, they're all in Pennsylvania. Then in the Poconos specifically, Mountain View, Blue Ridge, Tolino, Sorrenti Family Vineyards. And then on the way home, we stopped at Star Hill and Foxburg. And quite frankly,
of all those, Star Hill was by far my favorite. That was the first time I have ever ended up with a case of wine from one place.
We had a bus full. We didn't want to get stopped by any state troopers on the way home. I'm telling you, folks, we had a
at least one of the cargo bays up under the bus was nothing but wine. They would have thought we were opening a winery up ourselves if they had looked.
I know. There was some. I know one of the more favorite wineries was Blue Ridge Winery in Pennsylvania. It's just such a spectacular view. The wineries I thought were better than last year when I stopped in. One of the interesting things, though, is at least 3 of the wineries, I think one of them did a true tasting in the Poconos, but 3 of the wineries in the Poconos did the flights, which meant you were getting somewhere about a 2 to 3 ounce pour of wine for the tasting. And you were getting 4 to 5 wine tastes. So that boils down to, in the space of, 45 minutes, you're drinking at least 2 full glasses of wine, maybe more. So quite frankly, we were not feeling much pain when we got back to the hotel that night.
No, everyone was a little giggly, to say the least.
But folks, I'm telling you, we had everything from dry wines to super sweets to interesting wines that you never heard of before, combinations. And if you at all like wine, I'll tell you a little bit about what we're going to do next year after the review of the Carnival Mardi Gras. But you want to plan on going with us next year. You really do. If you're a wine enthusiast of any nature, you want to join us for our wine tour.
If you've never been on a wine tour, you need to go on a Sand Run wine tour. And if you've been on a wine tour, you need to compare ours to everyone else's, and I guarantee you'll come back to ours.
Yeah, I hear that from a lot of folks. I really do. Okay, we're going to go ahead now that we've kind of tooted our horn, answered some questions, and we're going to go ahead with what is Carnival Cruise Line's new kind of flagship. It's called the Mardi Gras, after the original Carnival cruise ship. Way back in the 70s, the first one out was called the Mardi Gras. And by looking at it, looked like, I'm not sure it had a balcony. I'm really not sure it did. But this cruise ship, I think you're going to enjoy the brief tour of it. It's a little different kind of tour that I found, but it's only about 5 minutes long. So get ready. Here we go. Well, if that doesn't get you kind of piqued interest on getting on a newer kind of cruise ship, I'll be surprised. Some of the venues on the Mardi Gras just made me, as I was looking at it, I couldn't wait to get on a new cruise ship.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to our next or to the next trip we get that we can get on the Mardi Gras.
Yeah, yeah, we may look at it. I know it's not planned for next year, but as soon as we can do it, I think we're going to try to plan something for it. It just looks like so much fun. One of the things that's near and dear to my heart as well is, and it wasn't highlighted on the video, is that all of Carnival ships have a veterans bar. I forget quite honestly what the name of it is, but it's dedicated to military veterans. And being one, I really appreciate the gesture. Doesn't get me anything on Mardi Gras or any of the Carnival ships. Doesn't get me a free drink, but I still appreciate the gesture. Now, here's one of the things that right now, Carnival's booking must be so good because I have not seen any current specials. Watch our webpage for any current specials that Carnival might be going. But MSC, one of our other major cruise lines, is actually running a free balcony upgrade. So on most cruises in either the Caribbean or Mediterranean through, let's see here, through the summer of 2022, you can get yourself into a balcony for the price of an inside cabin. So that's pretty cool. So if you're the least bit interested, especially going with our summer cruise next year, that might be something to really look at. And then Virgin Voyages has been running this cruise, this special for quite a while now. I suspect they will continue to run it as the pandemic kind of winds down, we hope. But if you book yourself early, you at more than 6 months ahead of time, you get 10% off. Between 6 months and 4 months, or 3 months, I think, 4 months, you'll get 5% off. So that's a substantial saving for Virgin Voyages, especially the way they do their packaging. So that's worth more to you than most times, because most cruise lines, because of what Virgin has included in their base price, that's a significant 10%, whereas most cruise lines included in their base price aren't things like gratuities and Wi-Fi and standard drinks. So that's a pretty good deal. Now I want to spend just a little time. We've been talking about our cruises for next year for quite some time. We still think we can get you on the winter cruise, February 12th out of LA. But the pricing, you're going to have to call us. Since we no longer have a guaranteed inventory, even though I note staterooms are available, but the prices are going to fluctuate on a daily basis. There'll be specials that come out and everything else. So if you want to get away, like Reg said, get out of the snow in February. We know we're going. Give us a call. We'll get you on it.
Mexican Riviera is calling.
Oh, man. And it's someplace we've never been. How about that, Reg?
Yeah, that's going to be so much fun. Cabo has got her name on it, and Mazatlan has a drink waiting for us on the beach.
A tequila sunrise on the beach of Mexico. There we go. Nothing better than that.
Nothing better.
Then we're going to the Caribbean with MSC in July. I think it's July 10th. And then the Mediterranean out of Barcelona in September. So again, and come on, guys, get your passports. We want to see a whole bunch of you with us. We have finally decided on what we're going to do for bus tours next year. Well, kind of. We're only setting up 2 initially, and they're both wine tours. We are going to return to the Mother's Day special in Niagara Falls, and we've gone back and forth on whether we want to do it on Mother's Day. Buy Mom a great trip. Come on, we're going to do some wineries. Might go to Merritt. I know I'm going to be going back to Willow Creek. We haven't been there in too long. What's the other winery? Remember that winery we seem to like up there on the way up on the Lake Erie Trail?
It's one where we get Sweet Walter, and I can't think.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't think of the name
Well,
of the
Sweet
winery.
Walter, I thought came out of Merritt. So there's another
No,
one that gives it
no,
no.
Sweet Walter comes from someplace else. No,
Oh, okay. We'll have
it's
to get the bottle out and check the winery.
yeah.
When
I'm
we
gonna have
get
to
the,
check the winery out.
But we will be doing a little winery tour for Mother's Day. Check the website this week, should be up. And then our major wine tour next year, we're going to go back again to New York. But we're going to do something we haven't done in probably a decade. We're going to do Cuba Lake, which is part of the Finger Lakes, and we'll base the trip out of Seneca, Allegheny. So that will be in August next year. So it should be a nice warm time up in the Finger Lakes, and should be quite a night, quite a trip. It'll be 2 nights because we can't do that big a trail in one night. So those are the 2 things. I know Reg and I have talked. He's going to want to run some day trips and some other stuff next year. As of right now, we're trying to wait for the casinos to offer us some comps to bring you folks.
And they're right now. They keep saying they're going to bring their bus programs back, but right now they're not offering any comps on any of the bus programs. The only bus program that is offering any comps is the Rivers, and they're only doing it on a limited basis, like a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday trip. Anything other than that, they'll accept the bus, but they're not offering anything for you to come in. Wheeling, they have told me that they are about ready to get their bus program back up and running. But when they do the first trip that when they start, there will be no comps, and then they will determine the comps based on the play after that.
Now, I do know, Reg, now, folks, when we look at a day trip, we're always looking at locations about 2.5 hours or less, 2.5 hours or less to us, and also with a full casino. When by full casino, I mean table games, roulette, craps, and all that stuff. So I do know, I think Seneca Allegheny does have a bus program going. And I know Reg is looking at it. The difficulty with it is that it's 3.5 hours from here. And even though there's some comps, that whether or not we want to encourage our guests to be on a bus for basically 7 hours in one day is a question. So
that makes for a long day and a long bus ride.
Yeah, it really does.
We may one-day trip.
Yeah, we may do it out of desperation and the fact that nobody else is doing it, but I leave those decisions up to pretty much Reg decides what kind of day trips we might run. I know Sharon's been encouraging Reggie. He's looking at the possibility of a combined gambling and shopping excursion, but again, we'll see what we can do. Those will be day trips that we'll work on for you, but as of right now, the major bus tours next year will both be to New York, and they'll both be wine tours. With that, Reg, let's get on to our drawing. I know you told me there was a whole raft of people this month, so who's number 87?
Number 87 is Maxine Bainter Hunter.
Wow.
And we are not sure who Maxine is. She was a new person to our page. We look forward to her making contact with us so that we can get her gift certificate for travel with us. And we encourage everyone else to do what she did. Make a comment on the page, like one of our posts, even like the page. But make contact with us and get it, and you're entered into the contest automatically.
All right, that's it for me this month. Reg, you got any closing thoughts?
Well, the closing thoughts is, like I said, our Facebook page is up and running. We are posting things regularly. We encourage people to go to that page every day and take a look and see what we got. If you see something you like, make a comment, post on it. Make sure you like the page so that we see your name, because once we see your name, we can get you entered into our contests and drawings that we have throughout the month. We are trying to get more information and more questions answered. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those questions on that Facebook page, and we will try to use this venue here to answer your questions and get some information out to you.
All right, great ideas. Like us on Facebook, folks. Until November, have a great Halloween month. Bye bye now.
Have a great month. Stay safe.